right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It is Harmless Dave here, your real music, not on Twitter, observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you and just like me. Some of you know I had a family, death in the family, and I really appreciate the condolences and some of the things people are saying. Again, I'm not on Twitter anymore. Just leading up to all this stuff, I had some real heavy crap coming at me on Twitter, and I just said that was the last straw. I just, I've bluffed before and said, I'm going to leave, and this time I actually left. So, deactivation. Yes, I can reactivate, but I'm enjoying life right now. So, and comments, at least for the time being, on these videos. Yeah, I know. Everyone says you're going to take a hit financially if you don't have comments up and running. But I actually got complaints from people saying I can't even watch these videos because of some of the crazy personal attacks on you and your family and your kids and all this crap. And I'm like, I don't read the comments. So but I decided to block them anyway, just because I know, you know they're out there. So you just say to yourself, I don't want them to be out there, at least for now. And Patreon has been great. I am picking up new patrons because people want to have a dialogue. They want to communicate. And they're willing to say, I'll give you $1 a month to support your channel. So I appreciate all that. Let's talk Chicago. Chicago and Peter Cetera going way back to the 1980s. And what got me thinking about this was watching Chicago performing at the Venetian Theater, which they are on this long engagement over there. A residency, as it's called. Aerosmith has one. Other bands are already probably booking them. Las Vegas, it's a great place to kind of break your new set list in, or any new gimmicks or anything if you haven't been out there. And Chicago has taken a few months off. I was speculating that, maybe last year was it, but they are soldiering on. They are selling lots of tickets, and despite having a lead singer, 4 times removed or whatever from the original, they're still chugging along. Neil Donnell, though, is a guy who doesn't really sound like anybody, and I've made this before. I've made this claim before, but here's what I want to say about Neil. Neil can sing. I watched Neil Donnell sing. His pitch is good. His inflections are good. Everything seems good, except he doesn't sound like Peter Cetera. He doesn't sound like Jeff Coffey. He doesn't sound like Jason Scheff. Of course, I got the order of that kind of messed up. I'd love for any of those guys to still be in the band, but replacing Peter Cetera caused a chain reaction, much like trying to replace Terry Kath. When Terry left planet Earth, and, there's a whole group of people out there who are examining that situation. And I may talk about that again in the future because it's fascinating stuff. But it sent like a ripple effect out. And I don't think Chicago fully recovered from that. And then, they get into the Foster era, and David is a taskmaster, and he's beating these guys up because they don't have any good ideas. And Cetera and Bill Champlin, they become this great team with Foster and really get Chicago through the 80s with some help toward the end from Ron Nevison, who brilliantly worked on Chicago 19 and got Bill Champlin to sing, like a real rock star. It got out of kind of the West Coast Bill Champlin and a more gutsy, soulful Bill Champlin. And Bill's a great vocalist, so he pulled it off no problem. But hearing Neil Donnell singing and how far removed that is from the heyday. Imagine Chicago 17 and Cetera and the band, they reach an agreement and they give Peter what he wants. And Peter becomes the star of the show, and everybody makes a ton of money. And everybody else can still have their little moment in the sun on stage. Look, I love Robert Lamb. Robert Lamb hasn't had a chart single, okay, in years, even prior to this. I think you have to go back to, he's on Thunder and Lightning. He's on Harry Truman. There are some songs that he wrote, like Another Rainy Day in New York City. But as far as like the hit machine kind of stuff, like the early days, Robert's most successful period were from, you know, like the mid 70s back. And most Chicago diehards love that period. But moving forward, he never really got the 80s. You know what I mean? He didn't get it. Whereas Cetera got it, and Bill Champlin was ready for it, and the retooled band, the 80s version of Chicago, was road ready. And even when Jason came in, they were still road warriors and ready for top 40. And they continued to do that up until Chicago 21. And if you know the story of that album, they used the wrong mixes. They used the Gattaca mix instead of the Ron Nevison mix of those tracks, which had a weaker drum track, more adult contemporary, less top 40. Of course, the music scene radically changed right after that, so they weren't getting any help from the music environment out there that was about to happen. But listening to the Venetian performance, I keep saying this, Neil can sing. He's got great pitch. He's even a little bit of a front man. His delivery, his phrasing, all of those things, you know, you look at the audience and they get it. They like him. But I'm listening going, they've just, you know, there are too many lead singers removed from the original. And Peter Cetera is still out there. And he, last year, killed it on the road. If you go watch some of that footage. Yeah, he's singing an octave. I'd rather hear Peter singing an octave lower than hear Neil Donnell hit all these notes. You know, so that's just my opinion on it. It's tough. To replace Peter Cetera was just as hard as replacing Terry Kath. And some people say, hey, there's no Terry Kath out there. I love Keith Howland. I think Keith Howland, let's put it this way, Keith Howland has done a better job replacing Terry Kath than the current lead singer is doing replacing Peter Cetera. Or Jeff Coffey, or Jason Sheff, if you want to look at it that way. Just my opinion, and as you know, that's what I do. I have opinions. All right, done. Be back eventually. See you then.